Ladies and gentlemen, beautiful people of the world, it's time that we put down our guns and we take it back. We pick up a string, 3 sticks, we craft ourselves a bow, and it's go time. We are talking about the best bows to use in PvE, one for every element. Previously in this series, we went over hand cannons, auto rifles, and SMGs. We are now moving on to bows. One thing to note with the bows, however, is that there's actually not a single strand bow at all. There's just 0. So we're only going to be going over 5 rather than the full 6 like we normally do. And remember, before we get started, if you guys ever want to get your games and their DLC for a cheaper price, you make sure you hit up Instant Gaming, top link in the description, along with that free monthly game giveaway that they do in the second link of the description. Comment down below which weapon class you want to see next, as we are slowly making our way through every single weapon class in the game for this series. Also, a little self-plug real quick, I did do a fun video where we tested every single exotic heavy versus Crota. In case you want to check that video out, it's a pretty fun watch. That being said, ladies and gentlemen, let us begin. And we start the list off in the Stasis area. Now keep in mind, guys, whenever we're using a Stasis or Strand primary in the kinetic slot, it is going to do 10% less damage than a kinetic primary. And special Stasis and Strand weapons in the kinetic slot will do 15% less than kinetic specials. Now, I'm not the most avid bow user out there, but I have gotten a little bit of info on what makes a bow pretty good. And for our Stasis selection, there's, I think, only 2 options in the entire game, but we're going with the Raconteur, which is a Season 20 seasonal bow, meaning it does have its own pattern. It's a precision frame bow, which means they have a slightly longer draw time, but it's optimized for damage. And because you can craft this bow, you can definitely get the draw time to a really good spot. Real quick, I do just want to mention that when using a bow, especially precision frame bows, the 2 minor perks do play a pretty good role, and the ones that I would recommend you use are Elastic String in the column 1, and then the column 2 perk that I recommend for bows would be Fiberglass Arrow Shaft for a little bit of extra accuracy, and the Elastic String will give your bow just a faster draw time, which we definitely take. Now, if we pull up the Raconteur's perk pool, you'll see that this thing has, I guess you could say, the golden goose when it comes to bow perks, and that is having Archer's Tempo in the 3rd column. So that's automatically a plus right there. We definitely take that. It also does have Shoot to Loot, but dude, you cannot pass up something like Archer's Tempo in the 3rd column on a bow. No way. The 4th column is where this bow has some other really good options. You have 3 to choose from. You have Headstone, because this is a Stasis precision bow. That's a really, really good option. Flat out. Great option. If you crafted Headstone on this bad boy, great choice. You also have the other classic bow perk, which is Explosive Head. Think of just explosive rounds just for a bow. There's a slight delay, so maybe it's more like time payload for bows. Either way though, Explosive Head and Archer's Tempo, you're going to be seeing this roll a lot throughout this video, just giving you a heads up for that. And the other perk that I would at least want to mention in the 4th column would be Successful Warm-Up. On weapon kill for 6 seconds, you're going to have a 35.5% decreased draw time, which is awesome. The only other bow is a World Drop bow, that being the Lunulata, and it's definitely a bit harder to get a good roll for that, where you have the Raconteur that you can just go focus some to find Ingrams at the helm, get your pattern, and craft it perfectly just the way you like it. It's a really good precision frame bow, has some of the most important bow perks that you could ask for, and it takes our Stasis slot. This is where I would do the Strand section, but because there's no Strand bow, we're just going to segue straight to Kinetics. And the kinetic bows, I guess you could say, have the most competition. You have the most to choose from. However, the bow that I am going to be talking about is from none other than Garden of Salvation. We're talking about the Accrued Redemption. This is also a precision frame bow with a much smaller perk pool. Of course, the column 1 and 2s don't change at all. The column 1 and 2 perks are going to be the same for every single bow that we can talk about, your best options being Elastic String. And whenever this bow actually gets its pattern and gets Fiberglass Arrow Shaft in its column 2, you would put that on it. But for the time being, because this bow is so old, it actually doesn't have Fiberglass in its column 2 perks, which is kind of funny. However, I'll show you what this bow does have. If you pull up the perk pool, you will see there's only 1 PvE roll, and luckily, because there's only 8 perks, it's very easy to get. Column 3, Archer's Tempo, right again, boom, it's staring at you right in the face, you can't miss it, bada bing, bada boom, take that dub. And then in the column 4, Explosive Head. It's literally just that simple. It is that simple. Archer's Tempo, Explosive Head, instantly really good of a bow. Like I said, you have the most amount of options when it comes to kinetic bows. However, I really do enjoy using the Accrued Redemption. It feels really nice when I shoot it, or pull the string back rather, and it's a really enjoyable and very good bow. Not too much left to say. I'm pretty sure this bow will be getting its own pattern next season if they do reprice the garden weapons like a lot of people are assuming they will. Time will tell, but even still, for right now, I have it as the best kinetic bow. Alright everybody, let us move to the light affinity bows. We're going to start off with arc, and for this specific section, you really can go with 3 of them, okay? You have a Point of the Stag, which is a precision frame bow. It gets Archer's Tempo and Vorpal as its, I guess you could say, its main perks. The other 2 are No Distractions and Eye of the Storm. It's a bow with a decent curated roll if you want to roll with that. It also does have elastic string in the first column as well. That's what I'm using in the background gameplay. However, the Tripwire Cannery bow from Season 19 is a lightweight frame bow that can get Archer's Tempo in the 3rd column, and then Explosive Head in the 4th column. You can't go wrong with that. The only reason that I'm not using it in the background gameplay is I just never got that bow's pattern. Just whoops. That's my fault, G. And the Tripwire Cannery also has Frenzy in the 4th column as well, which I love Frenzy. So you have the options between Frenzy and or Explosive Head in the 4th column. Go with Archer's Tempo in the 3rd column. Keep it simple. You'll be cooking. Lightweight frames don't do as much damage as precision frame bows do. However, you can move faster with them, and you have a faster draw time intrinsically. Personally, I prefer precision frame just because they do a little bit more damage. However, the Tripwire Cannery is definitely a really good arc bow. Point of the Stag is also a really good arc bow, especially if you like precision frames. And the last honorable mention bow that I have for us is the Wolf Tone Draw. Although this is a bow from Season 15, it does have Archer's Tempo in the 3rd column, and then your best 4th column perk would be either Frenzy or Dragonfly. The arc bows have a pretty decent amount of options to them. However, if you weren't playing during Season 19 and you don't have your Tripwire Cannery pattern like me, your best option is probably going to be the Point of the Stag, which is a pretty good precision frame arc bow. Now, while the arc bows had a little bit more to talk about, we have about 1 void bow that we can even truly recommend, right? And that bow is going to be none other than the Under Your Skin legendary precision frame bow from Season 16, Season of the Risen. This is a bow with land tank, and I really like land tank. It just makes you more unkillable, with the ability to get up to 15% extra damage resistance against PvE combatants. Very nice. And if you pull up this bow's perk pool, it is going to have the pinnacle, same combination of perks that we have been talking about basically this entire video. Of course, go with Elastic String and Fiberglass Arrow Shaft as your column 1 and column 2 perks. In column 3, there's only 1 perk to go for, Archer's Tempo. Easy claps. There's not a single other perk to use in the 3rd column. And in the 4th column, you have a few other options, but the pinnacle option being none other than Explosive Head. The classic Archer's Tempo Explosive Head combo exists on this bow as well. If you want to try out some other perks in the 4th column, maybe Dragonfly or Successful Warm-Up, but I'm just going to sit here and recommend to you the classic bow combo of Archer's Tempo and Explosive Head. It's been a minute since we've gotten any other void bows, and if you don't have the Under Your Skin pattern, then you can try your hand at farming it in the Vox Obscura mission whenever it is in the exotic mission rotator. That being said, with it being a void bow, it pairs really well in some void builds, although it doesn't have any of those void 3.0 style perks. Still, at the end of the day though, it's got the classic combo, and it takes our void slot. Alright, so for the solar bow section, we have 3 options. In the background gameplay, you're seeing me use the new bow from the Nightfall, the Proccessor, I think that's how you say its name. It's a precision frame bow with some pretty decent perks. Of course, if we throw up its perk pool, you'll see it's got the Archer's Tempo, Explosive Head, the Pinnacle bow combo that we've been talking about this entire video. However, because it is solar, it also gets incandescent in the 4th column as well. So you can have a bow with Archer's Tempo, incandescent, then Elastic String, and Fiberglass Arrow Shaft. That's pretty nasty, pretty nutty. Gotta respect it up. It is a nightfall weapon, so it might not be the easiest of weapons to get with the roll that you want. However, the other Vanguard bow, the Strident Whistle, well, albeit having a much fatter perk pool, can do the same thing. The Strident Whistle is also a precision frame solar bow. However, it's not a nightfall weapon, it's just a normal Vanguard weapon. Its perk pool is a bit more thick, so you're going to have a bit more of an uphill battle against RNG when going for the desired roll that you want, but it also can roll with Archer's Tempo and Incandescent. Both of the solar bows that you can get from the Vanguard are precision frames, which is the preferred frame, at least for me. However, I feel like I would be doing everybody a disservice if I didn't mention the Tyranny of Heaven. This is the lightweight frame bow from the Last Wish raid, and now that it has its reprised perk pool, it can also roll Archer's Tempo and Incandescent. And it also does have Dragonfly in the third column as well if you don't want to go with Archer's Tempo, really want to mix it up a bit. I mean, hey, I don't blame you because all three of these solar bows literally can do the same roll. So if you want to get the Tyranny with Dragonfly and Incandescent just to have a bit of a different bow going for you, I mean, by all means, do your thing. Just keep in mind, it's not going to do as much damage as the Strident Whistle and the NX because it is a lightweight frame. However, because this is a craftable weapon, it's the only bow that you can get enhanced Incandescent on. So feel like that's worth mentioning. The Tyranny of Heaven also does have Explosive Head in the third column as well. So you can go Explosive Head Incandescent, Dragonfly Incandescent, Archer's Tempo Incandescent. Just know that it is a lightweight frame and not a precision frame if that is a make or break for you. I feel like all of the solar bows are pretty decent, at least the three that we just mentioned, and it's hard to go wrong with any of them with the right roll. You can even make the argument that the solar bows are the strongest of all of the bows of the legendary rarity type, and I would not fight you on that in the slightest. They can all do the same exact job. Two of them are the same frame. And the Tyranny, you have just a little bit more flexibility in the perks that you can run. Overall, the solar bows are pretty darn good though. That's going to do it for this video's list of the best bows to use in PvE. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on it down below, along with your favorite bows to use in PvE as well. Remember, non-exotics because we would all just say Trinity Ghoul. Let me know down in the comments which weapon class you want to see me do next. Don't forget, if you ever want to get your games in their DLC for a cheaper price, hit up Instant Gaming, top 2 links in the description. Thank you for watching the video. You guys be safe, take care, consider subscribing, and we'll see you beautiful people in the next one.